Here, if we get a motion to approve the agenda,
So moved.
Second.
all in favor? Any opposed? Appreciate it.
Yes.
Okay. Consent agenda, if anybody wants something pulled out for discussion, if not, can we get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All the allocation, public input. Oh. Nope. Three reports. Dominic.
Oh, me, I'm already up.
You're up.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I just kind of wanted to start off by saying, I want to thank all of the schools, the district and the community for all of the assemblies that they did to honor our veterans this past Veterans Day. It was absolutely amazing and our veterans very much were forever grateful for it. And I was unable to attend, but I did hear the Mountain Home High School Choir was absolutely amazing. And I'm really sad that I missed it because it's the talk of the town right now, but I just want to say an extended thank you very much for all that you guys had a part with that. I also want to say thank you to our quarter 1 nominations, and I'm excited to announce that our educator of the quarter is, drumroll please, Kimberly Bearden. Miss Bearden teaches first grade at Stevenson Elementary, and a few highlights of what was stated about her was that she goes above and beyond each day, even giving up her own time to continue to support the needs of her students. Her parent communication relationship that she builds with her parents, her peers, and students are outstanding. She is a mentor to new staff and is present each and every day. So a big thank you to Ms. Bearden and her continued support and effective education as she provides to her students every day. Thank you. I'll be by next week to give her her award. Quarter 2 nominations have begun, so please keep those nominations coming in. I recently went TDY to our MIC3 ABM, and there I was able to collaborate with 50 of the state commissioners and 50 other state school liaison SMEs about what MIC3 is, the compact language, and that kind of a thing. I really would like to take the opportunity to go out to the schools and maybe discuss what specifically that compact language does look like, because it is something that's been around since 2017, and I just want to make sure that we're all getting the correct narrative of what that really truly is for our military connected students. We are looking to set up our panel, which is something that we have to do annually. And probably the first year we're thinking about doing it maybe quarterly, just to get the first year under our belt, kind of establish where we want to go and all the things that we would like to do with MIC3. But that panel would consist of our MIC3 state commissioner, myself, Superintendent Gilbert, and Superintendent in Boise. We would love to have teachers, students, parents. You guys are all invited as well. But the more that we can all get everybody that's inside our schools collaborating collectively, I think the better that we can support our students and our staff and our schools moving forward. So I'll go into the schools and kind of talk to teachers and students about that if they would be interested. And if any of them are, they're more than welcome to email me, and I'd be happy to kind of shoot that to our state commissioner as well. Purple Star is something that Idaho is one of 8 that we are not of, and I really would like to change that. Purple Star is a great opportunity for our military students. Our military kids move every 3 to 4 years. And one thing that's usually pretty consistent with them as they move from school to school is this purple star. It's not just a shiny star. This star stands for so many things: collaboration, dedication with the team, the community, the teachers, the students. And I would like to bring that to Idaho. So I've already talked to Stevenson. I've talked to a couple other schools and teachers, and I really would like to have Idaho have that big, beautiful purple star and have that relationship with their schools, their staff, and the community. It's a lot of community involvement too, and I think it will be good for not only the schools, the district, the community, and the base, and the students. But update from what we talked about last time with security for Stevenson. So from that meeting, I went and talked with our command support team, and I got a roster from Ms. Robin Shapani, and we have updated that roster with ad hoc. And what that is that's the communication that we receive when there's an alert on base. So all of the staff and Robin and all of basically everyone that goes to Stevenson as far as staff related will get an alert now on their phone with if there's some type of an emergency or an alert system going on Mountain Home Air Force Base. So that's been done. Cookie drive. Thank you, everybody that's contributing to the cookie drive. I know our airmen really appreciate it. We have a lot of first-term airmen. This is their first time away from home. And it's really nice that they get these little bags of goodies with letters and decorated bags from the kids, and it really does mean a lot to them. So I just want to say thank you publicly about that, and happy Thanksgiving. And that's really all that I have. You guys have any questions for me?
On the Purple Star, tell
Yes.
me a little bit more about that. If Idaho were under that, what would be the qualifications and what would we be doing?
So specifically, I will have to meet with our state legislation, which is Tammy Perot. She's our defense state liaison, and see where Idaho is specifically at with our state legislators. That's my first step. Once we start the process of getting that going, then Purple Star, Congress would come out, staffers from Congress would come out to the school after we would submit the proposal to have said school be the Purple Star school. But there would have to be a Purple Star liaison, and that has to be an educator. So it would have to be one of the teachers within our schools. So they would kind of take on that role as the Purple Star liaison. And basically they can do with it whatever they want. They can make it as big as they want. They can do just special little things with the kids. They can do all these different events. They can get involved with the community. But great example that I saw a couple weeks ago, it's in Okinawa, so it's overseas, but the Purple Star liaison at that school, every Wednesday she wears a Purple Star shirt. And then all of the students that are involved in Purple Star, they all wear the same Purple Star shirt, and it says, "Ask me." So anytime these kids are walking down the hallway and they see somebody with this shirt on, if they're having a bad day, or if just anything's going on, if they just want to say, "Hey, you think I should take this class? What should I do? Should I play football? Should I do this?" Or just anything. "My mom was mean to me this morning. I don't want to do my homework." They know that they can ask this individual. It's just a way of bringing the community together with our students and our teachers, and yeah, it is a beautiful thing. I've seen some of the events and projects that these teachers have worked on with these kids, and it's just absolutely amazing.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Any questions from Tony? Thank you so much.
Thank you, absolutely, thank you.
Let's go to the facilities needs assessment, continuing to Mr. Walls.
Yes, Mr. Gilbert or Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'm gonna have a couple different things going here. So first I need to plug in over there.
Oh, you wanna join the thing and I give you?
Well, yes, let's do that.
That's got like a super cool weather book going.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Hey, thanks.
Put that on, that should keep it out.
Keep that in.
Is offered downtown. And the reason I'm presenting this is Albert is at basketball over at Twin Falls, so I told him there was one court news that is. If basketball game and do this, so. Okay,
Should be
I'm
good.
ready, so now I just need to share screen, right?
No, and then we need to get this.
Wait,
I know technology too. No, not all. No, I already know. Right, let's try.
There. See, make sure you can see everything on here. All right, so what the assessment is, this was geared toward identifying individual problems or concerns and improvement projects to improve each facility, not just the condition of the building. We had building administrators, directors, local contractors provide input on identifying the needs and concerns and improvements. Jerry's also here to provide more insight to any repair or projects that are listed in the general description and the presentation or attachments. And so I just want to kind of go through this first set of slides, and then I've got one other I'm going to share with you. So ages of the building, this isn't really anything new, but I think it shows, you know, part of the issue we have with our facilities are obviously aging facilities. And so repairs and those kind of things are going to be something that we deal with. So the next slide is just some of the unexpected major repairs that we've had in the last 5 years. And these are ones that we didn't necessarily anticipate having to have systems replacements at these times, but again, you know, it's part of the cost of doing business with what we have. And so Albert just compiled kind of all of those. So what this really gets us to are the projects that we know are coming up. So in the unexpected repairs, I'm gonna jump back. These were any repairs that were higher than $10,000 in funding to these projects. So roofs at Easton Junior High were listed to show the potential impact. Fortunately for those, we were able to utilize our insurance on it. And then right now, Jerry's working on a water leak at Stevenson. That's going to be a pretty hefty price tag, as it required some abatement to go in there as well. So this next set, we've got high priority projects. So what we did is broke down any projects that came from the building admin into 3 categories, kind of high priority, medium, and low. High priority projects are projects that we anticipate needing to be done in the next year to 2 years. And again, the criteria for that, as you can see, we put that if there's currently any safety, security, or potential downtime to a school, that was something that was listed as a high priority area. The total estimated cost of those high priority projects, we estimated at about $9.7 million. Again, costing, we had help from a local contractor with that. And then medium priority projects, you can see these include conditions requiring routine monitoring and near-term planning and preparation. So these are things that we know are going to come up. We're putting the timeline on those as 3 to 5 years. Those projects are estimated to be about $1.7 million in cost. And then low priority are ones that we know we might have to add capacity in certain places. They're projects that don't require immediate attention, but again, we know in the next decade, they're going to need to be addressed. And as you can see, those ones are the biggest priority issues we have. And so when you look at that, those are things like additions going on in buildings, those kind of things. So I want to jump to, I'm not sure I have access to all the stuff here, but I'm gonna share this screen. So these are the high priority projects that are identified with it. And so just go through each one of these a little bit. So removing the portables, at the high school, just the cost of that, to do that. That doesn't include, additional, building at that school. This is just to, remove the portables. Then conduit in the sophomore hall that's causing some floor swelling, replacing windows and doors, entry doors. Convert light fixtures to LED, bathroom upgrades. I can tell you most of the bathroom upgrades you're gonna see on this document are to address, updating, our facilities so that they're ADA compliant. So that's what a lot of the bathrooms are gonna be. Locker room upgrades, parking area lighting, you can see concrete, paved and painted parking, additional storage, hallway and floors. Over at Bennett, we've got the old steam system in there that's creating issues with the floors in that building as the steam causes swelling in the flooring, and so it's something they've been addressing kind of as a floor swells, you go in there and cut out that section of floor and address it that way. LED fixtures, adding a portable over there for our alternative placement center and community school use. Masonry in that building needs to be tucked and sealed, which has held up quite well for the existence of that building. Upgrade student bathrooms there. Junior high fire sprinkler system has been nothing but a pain in the hind end for 15 years. We need to get that addressed. Again, like tech and LED upgrades there. If you drive by the building, you'll notice that the woodpeckers have had a heyday on that, the fashion, the soffit on the front of that building and in the back. Bathroom upgrades there, again, some concrete. Now we're at Hacker, some concrete busing area. We need to create a safer area there. Windows and exterior doors, upgrading lights. North, we've got concrete windows and doors, sewer lines, water lines. Again, tech and LED, bathroom upgrades. Stevenson, windows and exterior doors, replacing water lines and sewer lines. Again, upgrading the tech in that building, upgrading bathrooms. West, windows, doors, sewer lines, water lines. Upgrading tech, bathrooms again. East, you're kind of seeing these repeats of things on here. So east, many of the same things, and then some overall things that need to be addressed at some of our activities venues. So those are the high priority projects that we need to look at how we're going to address this in the next year to 2 years. And so as we kind of go through this, I think that's going to be a challenge for the board is to determine the best route with this, knowing that, you know, we had a bond that didn't pass. And so now we're trying to address issues at buildings that don't necessarily mean that we're doing any new building, but these are things that I think you could look at possibly putting into a longer term plant facility levy for a higher dollar amount. That we address all of these things in here. I don't think I have access to Albert's, the medium and low priority, so I'm gonna have him email that to you as a board.
We have.
You do have,
And
okay.
it should be in your, Google file.
All right, take another look here. So jump back to the rest of Albert's presentation here. You know, he kind of put the summary in there. Average age of the buildings are 64 years old. So I think it's, you know, very reasonable. The buildings have survived well. But it just shows you we're gonna have to find some ways to do some of these projects. ESSER funds have greatly helped us to not have to go to the community on some of this as of lately, you know, HVAC projects and those kind of things. But with ESSER funding coming to an end, you know, we're gonna have to look for another source of revenue on that. So again, there's the high priority, medium priority, and low priority projects there. And then he included that from 2015 to 2020, we had $1 million per year plant facility, which we were able to use to address some of those maintenance type of issues. So I think we're back to the point where that's probably something that we're gonna need to look at is, a bond is one thing, but there's also the needs at every building that we have. And I think for me, the number one driver in all of this is school safety and security. How do we secure our facilities? So that is probably a lot shorter winded than Albert would have given you on this. But I would be happy to try to answer any questions that you might have on it and
I got two.
sure.
Yeah, go ahead, I've got a couple too, go ahead.
So, with the LED fixtures, do we get any break from Idaho Power with that? Because I know that.
Yeah.
With businesses and stuff, that if you change out your lights to the LEDs, you get a certain amount that they cover.
Yeah, and I think that's figured in if I'm remembering on that. That was part of the costing was with your rebates put back in there from the LED conversion.
Okay, and the other question was power, with the, on some of the stuff with the power requirements. I thought with the plant facility, we did in year 5, a big thing throughout all the schools.
We did.
With electrical.
Yep, we absolutely did. Yeah, you know, if you remember trusted Vinny, we like over at East, he had one outlet in each room.
Mhm.
We went through and upgraded, but we put that on there just because we know that as we move forward, there's gonna be even more requirements with it. But, you know, as of right now, there's not a power issue in any building.
We have plenty of power in the buildings.
Yes,
Okay. I also didn't see on here, I know it came up. Last night, in a briefing that was put out that we had mold issues. I don't see anything dealing with mold issues in the buildings in any of this.
one of the buildings that was mentioned, I believe, was West, and I have not had anybody reach out to me about any mold issues in that building. Hacker at one time, there was an issue about. I would say it's been about 10 years where we did some mold abatement in one room. But that was addressed and we did the air clearances in that building and that's all addressed.
All the HVAC is good in all the buildings as well.
Everything that, so.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like we had.
We've done a ton of HVAC in buildings, but I will tell you, like junior high, last year we had the boiler go out in the junior high. So we're going to have to address that boiler system. Because right now it's a single boiler, right, Terry? And so when one goes out, you're shut down.
Right.
So the issue we want to address there is putting in a double boiler so that when one goes out, we're not down. Because again, going back to how we prioritized anything that would cause a delay in school or a cancellation of school was high priority.
I just going through the, today, the high and the medium and the low. On the high priority, the 1 to 5 years, you got quite a schedule there. What do we got scheduled for this year
Yeah,
in this list? Maybe you can answer, maybe Jerry can. What do we have scheduled for this year?
Well,
High priority list.
yeah, trustee, Perez, I would say that what we're dealing with this year are more. The revenue that we're using is more for the unexpected, not for what's actually on that list of high priority needs. Those are ones that. As of right now, we've addressed them. But if you look at funding wise with what we're doing, so the leak at the school is a good example of that. That's coming out of what we have available for this year's maintenance budget on it. So
Okay.
these projects are really projects that we're going to need to find a revenue source for.
And so saying that, we had talked last spring about that we were going to redo the high school gym floor and also probably have
Yeah.
bleachers. And we've got that on the high priority list, so I'm assuming that we're not gonna redo the floor. And we're not gonna
The
do
gym is gonna be redone next,
so
yeah,
next year,
this.
it's twenty.
In the summer,
Okay.
over the summer,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah, that's what I wanted to be
Yes,
sure, 'cause
yeah.
I thought.
Yeah.
The bleachers would probably put on, but seeing this, I thought, okay,
Yeah.
wait a minute. what-
Yeah.
you know.
no, and so part of that is, time frame. You gotta have it, it's gotta be done in the summer because of the downtime with it, and so Jerry's already reached out to one of the contractors that'll do it, but we're gonna have another one probably come in and look at it, so, and then that'll be scheduled for, my guess is probably more like mid-June, once we're done with basketball camps and those kind of things, so that then they can get it done in time for school.
Well, like I said, when I saw that, I thought, wait a minute,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
did money get, we
Yeah.
had the money and now we don't have, so I was kind of curious. about
Yeah, no, that
As
one's
long-
good.
as long as we thought, okay.
How do we get this information out? Other than people coming here and reading minutes, I mean, this is stuff that could be very informative down the road.
Well, I think, as we move forward with this, when we have that discussion of how do you want to address the funding source for this becomes part of the using the term correctly, this becomes part of the information, the factual information that we provide out to the community. That these are the things that have been assessed, this is the cost that, and the part of this, Rick, is that's today's cost with a little bit of inflation built in, knowing that, if this is a project right now, what's the actual cost of it in 2 years? So, part of that's a little hard to get completely nailed down, but I do think that this becomes very valuable information, whether you include it in a bond or whether you have it as a separate plant facility levy. I even look at it and go, we're gonna have to look at what our levy rate availability is, but, can we put high, medium, and low projects all together into one 20-year plant facility levy to address all of that?
Make it interesting with the levy, because you gotta be very specific on what we're using it for, if I remember correctly, plant facility.
And that's what I think this really helps with, is,
And you look like a 3-page ballot.
yeah.
Simple yes or no box, because this is what we're doing.
But I think that's okay too, you look at it from a taxpayer perspective.
Oh, yeah.
At least you have a list of
They wanna know,
projects, and this is what we're using it for.
Thanks, James.
You're welcome.
Albert, thank you. All right, building presentation, North Elementary, Mr. McCluskey.
I'm not long getting this set up, I just wanted to make notes on the stellar hairstyle I see on at least 2 of our board members up there.
We're working on Connie.
So I said at least, so you all have great hair styles. And did you,
I need to get out of my screen.
I gotcha.
okay,
Took me a minute to find
Come on.
okay, am I now out? Or am I?
The important people are on the screen.
Digital hair.
Somebody's pointing.
There you go.
All right, those of you that don't know me, I'm Phil McCluskey. I'm the principal at North Elementary. If you don't recognize me there, it's because it's my first year there. Been at Stevenson for about the past 10 years, so this is a change of venue from Just wanted to talk to you a little about North Elementary, and we will do that now. Some of our demographics, we have just over 360 students. Actually, a few more, seeing as though from the time I made this to now, we keep getting some, which I'll take as good news. The breakdown for grade level is there on the side as well. We do have a special education population that's a little bit more unique than some of the other schools. We have 2 programs that the other schools do not have. So the resource program is just your, I'll say it's your primary special ed. The extended resource and the structured learning center are from around the district. So if you qualify for those programs, even though you are at West or Stevenson, or you're actually bused into North Elementary for those 2 programs. We have 17 in the extended resource and 13 in the structured learning center. All right, going to just some academics. This is last year's academics of how we did on the ISAT. Basically, what I put up here was 3rd grade math on one side and reading over on the other. If you look at math, the state average for proficiency was 49%. Our district average was 42%, and North Elementary's average was 27%. If we go to reading, state average was 45%, district was 40%, and North Elementary came in at 32%. And this is just our 3rd grade. Taking a look at our 4th grade, again, state average was 47, district average was 35, and North was 27. For reading for 4th grade, state was 48, district 39, and North Elementary came in at 26%. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, not good. So one of the things we also look at, that was ISAT. So the ISAT is only taken by our 3rd and 4th grade students. The Idaho Reading Indicator is the state assessment for our kindergarten through 3rd grade as well. So proficiency, well, I'll put, at our kindergarten, 71% of our kids were not proficient by the end of the year. 62% of our 1st graders, and 52% of our 2nd graders, and 46% of our 3rd graders. The number I put over on the far right for our 4th graders, that is not an official number because actually they do not take the IRI. However, they take the assessments in the same manner, but it just doesn't count as an official state assessment. And our students there were at 59% not proficient. Again, not great, and I'm not going to sugarcoat a lot of it. So this is one of the things that we're specifically addressing. This is not good. We need to do better. So what are we doing about it? Well, basically these 4 things. We're focusing on our curriculum. We're focusing on the data, focusing on providing targeted interventions, and creating a culture that encourages success. So what does that look like? Well, when we focus on the curriculum, what we found, first of all, was there were quite a few of our teachers that actually were hired after our math curriculum training was provided. So one of the first things in August, I had the entire staff get trained through DMTI with our math coaches. Our Journeys curriculum, our reading curriculum, there's a lot of components within that. And it's not so much that our teachers were not using our curriculum, but what you find is the curriculum and how we're tested don't always match up correctly. So you actually have to get into the curriculum and find out what sort of things will prepare you best for the assessments. And when we look at the IRI and ISAT, there's a lot of things in there where Journeys actually has these things called standard-based assessments, where it requires a lot of writing involved. And we actually, one of the things over at Stevenson, we did a kind of a dive down of who was doing best at what with the ISAT. And we found that our students that wrote better scored better. on the ISAT assessments. Because there's two parts to the assessment. One is like a multiple choice test, but then the other is called a performance task. And then that performance task, you have to justify your answers and find evidence to back up your answers. So we really needed to find how can we simulate that using our curriculum. So these are a lot of the things that we dug into, where the standard-based assessments, Journeys provides performance tasks as well. They have close readers where you have to find and mark up, hey, circle this and circle that if it provides evidence for this. So those are the types of things that you have to dig down into our curriculum to find in order to be more successful with these state assessments. Another thing was how to appropriately pace the units and readdress possibly concepts that didn't get used. The way the Journeys is laid out, it's kind of at a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, test on Friday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, test on Friday. And you do that repeatedly, and you're just moving through the curriculum in that fashion. And I feel like it was one of those scenarios of, well, I know you didn't get it, but we got to move on, you know, kind of scenarios. So we really start addressing, all right, how do we address, if we didn't get it, we still need to go back, but we don't want to fall behind, and talking about various strategies on how to pace and possibly stretch the curriculum if needed. All right, focusing on the data. We have monthly data meetings, and one of the reports that we look at is this one. It's called a distribution report. And basically, I'll do it for every single classroom. Every month, our students take assessments. It's called an iStation ISIP assessment. And it just sort of gives you a general idea, hey, how are they performing? And basically this particular one, the green curve on it is where our class is. The red curve would be where the average class would be. So in this particular distribution curve, you can see that the class in general is a little bit behind on what iStation says should be the average curve. Also, the bar graphs down in there, they identify individual students, and you can get various test scores on how these students are performing. So what we do is we take a look at these red ones down here, and we start going, okay, what are we doing with these students? How are we providing them additional assistance to have them score better? Some of the things we do is, one of the first things was we get the kids to take the test seriously. On these monthly tests that in some respects don't mean anything to the kid. Because it's not necessarily something in the Journeys curriculum. It's like, okay, first of the month here, we're going to take this test. Okay, now that we're done with that, let's really get on with what we're learning here. So what we're doing is really trying to put an emphasis on those, where the teachers are goal setting with the students and like, okay, you did this last time. Do you think you can be here? And really try to incentivize the kids to perform better each time. And some of those incentives, I'll discuss a little bit more later. We have some reward coupons that we give the kids, but also we link it to the class grade. Because what we're finding is sometimes, let's say they have an A in class, but they're scoring at a level 1 on all of their assessments. Level 1 would be rock bottom. Well, how can they have an A in class but never perform well on this? So trying to bring those two together and get the kids saying this means something, not just I got to get through it so we can move on with life. The kids also track their own performance as well. So each month, if they did better than they did last time, that's incentivized, and we will give them some various coupons and things like that. And I'll get to that in a little bit. Other things we do, we provide targeted interventions. We had some trainings with some formal interventions, some of them done within our district. Jamie Vick was providing some training to our staff, but then also there's some good training videos put out by Hagerty, for example, which is one of our programs that we will use for some of our base curriculum, but then also interventions as well, but they have some great training videos, and we will discuss them and watch them together as class, as a group as well. But one of the other things is providing some informal, quick interventions. And what I mean by those is a lot of these programs, they'll take 15 minutes to a half hour to do. Well, that's great, but you have to have 15 minutes to a half hour exclusively with a small group of students in order for that to be your only intervention. But one of the things we're trying to do is, I like to call them like a 2-minute intervention. Maybe the class is working on something. They're doing a worksheet that has to do with our curriculum, but I can just come on over and I can go, hey, I got some flashcards here. Let's just go over these. I'll just knock those out for you. Hey, nice job. I appreciate it here. I'm gonna give you a couple of these Starbucks. Appreciate that very much. And then we move on and just move down the line of looking for opportunities and not wasting opportunities to provide interventions for the kids. So some of those things are flashcards, blending practice, exit tickets where it's a check for understanding to see if they really know what's going on. So those, just a brief example of those, and be happy to talk with you about it more if you desire. Okay, also creating a culture that encourages success. Well, Trustee Perez here did a great job on our little intervention, so I rewarded him with some Starbucks. I'm not talking about coffee. We have these little Starbucks, it's a currency. Thank you for giving me your attention. I greatly appreciate that. It's a currency that we use within our school, and anytime that they follow our core values, respectful, responsible, and safe, we will reward the kids. It could be something as simple as I'm busy talking, I appreciate you listening to me. Thank you so much. Sometimes I give you 1, sometimes I give you 4. Sometimes I might even give you a big stack of 10. Nice job. I appreciate it very much. It's very randomized, but it just tends to, it's an incentive for the kids. And I'll explain a little bit more on what we can do with that. So the kids can earn Starbucks. The kids can earn it for doing assignments. They can helping each other out, those types of things. The Starbucks, in addition to those, I also have some special event sort of things where academic achievement. So that's like this one right here. It's a little bit bigger, and you did really well, Trustee Bennett. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And you have now an incentive that twice a month we will do what we have a Star Store. In the Star Store, the kids will buy things with the Starbucks that you have there. Or since he did so well and did a better job, he increased on his ISIPs this month, he earned that coupon. Well, that coupon can be traded in for a variety of items that we have on our menu. Some of these things are very simple, like bring a stuffed animal to school and keep it on your desk. So you can wear pajamas to school. You could get out of one assignment. We have days where you have an extra recess. You could sit anywhere you would like in the cafeteria, those types of things. But the kids can purchase them utilizing the Starbucks that they've earned. And of course, those award coupons, every time that they do better than they did the last time on their iStation, they get those coupons as well. So it's a great way to incentivize things, and it creates a great culture and environment for the kids. Plus the value of saving money and, do I want this or should I save some for that? It happens a lot. Okay, other things that we do to encourage success. We created a flex time. This was something that we had done out at Stevenson. And the flex time is a 30-minute time to provide interventions for the kids. One of the biggest obstacles to provide an intervention is, what do I do with the rest of the kids? I just need you 4. What do the rest of them do? And what flex time does is it provides an opportunity for kids to go to the library, or we have a STEM room where they can go and play with various things. We have a math games area where they go and play games that just have to do with math. Or they go to an extra PE time frame. So as I send out people in my class, now I only have 5 or 6 left in my class, and I can do a more targeted intervention with those guys, while the others are doing something else somewhere else. It is also a great motivator that if you guys do really well, I'll let you go to flex time next time. So it provides some great opportunities for the kids. We also have some committees that look at behavior and culture, as well as academic things for our kids and how to provide those interventions. All right, lastly, one other thing that we are doing is I am doing my best to keep our Facebook page up and going with all the positive things that we are doing. Because so often you do great things, no one hears about it. So I'm almost daily posting at least one thing that we are doing at the school, something great that's gone on. And I just want to keep that positive interaction going. All right, so that's my presentation. Anyone have any questions?
I got a couple questions.
Mhm.
And this is good with the data. So looking at this looks like it's a lot of the holdover from the COVID learning loss that people were talking about seeing for some of the older ones. But I guess what would help though is looking at it, where were we at the beginning of the year versus where we're at the end of the year? To see, you know.
So where were we at the beginning of last year?
Right, so you know, like, I'm looking at the IRI stuff and it tells me, okay, well, 46% of the third graders aren't at grade level.
Mhm.
How many of them were not at grade level at the beginning of the year?
Mhm.
You know, how much of a change was there? Was there a good change, a bad change? You know, I mean, if you started out and 70% of them couldn't read at grade level and you got to 46, that's a good thing.
I will agree with that. But what I will also say is when it comes down to it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
My job, our job is to get the kids to proficiency.
Right.
And
And
even if they did have that handicap, which, okay, yes, we need to address that. And like I said, we're targeting things right now, and if I'm doing my job, we're doing a better job at it come the end of the year.
I like the way that you are digging into the curriculum. Because I think all too many times we go along with the curriculum. We were doing a great job in keeping up with that curriculum. But sometimes the curriculum is not meeting the need. And I like what you said about digging in and seeing exactly why it's not working.
Well, when you have a curriculum that's, I'll use the all-encompassing curriculum like Journeys is supposed to be. There's too much to train you on. In fact, our training on that initial thing was, well, you know, and then there's sort of this and you got that and you can kind of do this or maybe that. And you have to dig into those things because there's too much. Yes.
all size fits all doesn't always work.
I will.
Bill, were you surprised by the results? The assessment?
Surprised by, I guess, which results?
I guess on the ISAT, sorry.
So for like last year's results? Yes, although I will say I knew what I was getting into when I accepted the position, yes.
Well, it seems like you're willing to take on the challenge. You're supposed to do that. Right. All right, you have a question for Mr. Buston? Thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
Well, I got one. When do I get to buy my stuff?
Those coupons are good. It's the first and third Wednesday of each month.
All right, superintendent's report, Mr. Gilbert.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, since we are on break here, I just wanted to get a quick update from Gary on Stevenson. I know there was some delay there. What's going on with that?
So the abatement's done, all the tiles up, I'm waiting on air clearances, and I'm hoping tomorrow we can start cutting forward.
Okay. So Jerry, the plan is to have it ready to go by Monday, right?
Unfortunately, we probably won't be ready by Monday, but I've already made arrangements with Mr. Fanny. We've moved the teachers out of that hallway. We're gonna keep it barricaded off and we're just gonna work as fast as we can to get back up.
Perfect.
The tile will not be put in until probably Christmas break, but concrete should be back.
Okay. Thank you, Ryan. That's all I have.
I have a couple of questions for you. I know if these are okay to ask, it was just kind of on the heels of last night or yesterday with the city Facebook deal there. Just a couple things that were mentioned that kind of threw me off a little bit. Wanted some clarification. I didn't know if they were accurate or not. The first one was a mention of the $427,000 grant that it was mentioned that Mr. Anderson was responsible for that. I thought I understood that Alan Nixon and some other folks had a lot to do with that. And it's not to take away from somebody else, but I always thought the credit should go to the people that were responsible for it, but I wasn't quite sure if I was remembering that.
Sure, I trustee Grego, I think it's accurate to say that Nick's probably had the largest role in the whole process. But Levi and Marty both had a substantial involvement too. So to me, it was definitely a group effort on it.
Good. Credit goes all.
Yeah.
Couple things you mentioned last night, as far as education and jobs are two key critical components, when the base is evaluated. You said there was 5, those are the 2 major ones. There was a lot of talk about this potential charter school on base, and I guess, maybe just for me and maybe the rest of the board, what kind of impact will that have on, I guess, jobs, first of all? And then what kind of impact could it have on education?
Yeah, I think from the school job standpoint, depending on the size of that building, whatever the charter school would propose, the information I received is that it would be, for us, it'd be equivalent to us having to cut a staff population the size of the junior high. So that's the impact on people that it would have is, you're looking at, in the neighborhood of 35, probably teacher cuts that we would face, but overall, time to fit in support staff, admin, you're looking at 60 to 70 or more people that we're going to have to eliminate positions. Now, a lot of that really depends on what that charter school would look like out there too, but it's not a fair assumption to say that just because they work at Stevenson right now, that they're gonna want to work at a charter school. I can tell you, there's a lot of folks who don't want to work in charter schools, and there's a lot of folks who do. It's not accurate to say that our teachers will just move into those positions. I think, when you look at some things, charter schools operate different than we do. They offer different benefits than we do. But quite honestly, there's people who don't want to teach in those settings, and there's people that do want to teach in those settings. And chances are, if you're currently teaching in the Mountain Home School District, you probably are somebody who wanted to teach in a traditional public school setting. So that impact would be pretty substantial to our district. That's about a $7 million hit to the district that we would have to absorb. And how you absorb that is through eliminating staff. There's really no other way around it. From an education standpoint, here's what I can tell you. Charter schools set the lottery how they want it to be set. And if you look at any charter school in the state of Idaho, the demographics for those schools do not match the local community's demographics. So take that for what it is. I have no doubt that would happen with a potential charter school out there. The other issue is there's a set number of spots in that charter school. And if a true lottery is followed, there's no guarantee that a student that lives on the installation is going to have a spot in that building. The traditional public school, we don't get to set the rules of lottery. We have to by law. accept all students. And so there would be a pretty significant change in the education. Now, Stevenson Elementary is a very high-performing school. My question on the need for a charter is, charter schools, the purpose of the charter school movement in Idaho was to offer educational opportunities different from the public system when there are deficiency issues. There are not deficiency issues at Stevenson. So truly the only issue that ever comes up in this assessment is the condition of the facility, not the actual education. So, you know, the facilities, Stevenson is being taken care of. There's been a lot of work that's gone on in that facility already. We'll continue to address it. We're working to try to secure the additional 20% funding through Congressman Simpson's office. That has been an effort that I worked with Matthew Reber from the governor's office on to try to find that source. And I think one of the things that comes up is this idea that there was a waiver available to us if we would have tried to run it as bond. I have submitted the waiver. The thing to remember in this is the PSMI grant is submitted by the school district, not the city. So I'm the one that has contact with our direct contact at OLDCC. So the waiver is still sitting there. The last message I got from David Jones, who's our contact, is that it's going to be a while before you hear back. But again, don't expect a full waiver with this. They were never going to give us a full waiver. So this idea that if we would have gone out to a bond and it failed would have helped get a waiver, that isn't true. We still would have had to pursue these other options that we're trying to get now. So I hope that helped answer the question and clear some things up.
You took out my next one as well, so we go there.
But we are waiting on the waiver. I'm waiting to hear a response on the
Because
waiver.
last night it was stated by Marty Anderson that the waiver was declined and that
I
they
am
were not
not,
even, that they would not even consider it because we did not run that bond.
I have not received any messaging back after submitting the waiver. I believe I submitted it in September.
Trustee Binion kind of alluded to my next question. That doesn't even, probably not even worth asking, but it was about the power and HVAC issues. And the words legit issues were actually used last night. And then also mentioned along with the power issues, as a result of power issues, we couldn't operate the smart boards with the power issues what happened. So I wasn't sure, are we having, and you already asked, but basically, you said there's no power issues with dealing with.
Yeah, there's no smart boards at Stevenson, correct, Robin?
We only have probably 2 smart boards.
So are they taking out your power?
No,
Those are powered from the computer too.
He was alluding to within the district that
Yeah.
he was able to use that equipment because we were having power issues within all of our facilities.
That is,
Along with HVAC running too hot or rooms being too cold.
that's not accurate. You know, if you look, you know, the only HVAC thing we're even talking about is the double boiler at the junior high. The boiler is working now.
And that's,
We've addressed the majority of the HVAC issues in the district through the ESSER funds. You know, now, can you walk into a classroom that might be cold? Sure. But we can address those individual things. So the systems are all in good shape at this point. Out at Stevenson, primarily what was put up are whiteboards, and Jimmy Shapani did a lot of that effort to hang the whiteboards that are out there. So I'm not sure where that has come from, but you know, there's, like Matt said, there's no power issues that we're aware of this. There's also no mold issues that we're aware of either.
The one that caught my attention is probably one of the last things, and I'll shut up, let everybody else ask questions. It was mentioned that out of all of our schools, that East and Stevenson rank in the top 30% amongst Idaho schools, and the rest of them rank on average in the bottom 40%. And I don't know what ratings do you, and I guess my own question is, because I don't think it's true, but I guess one, is it true, but two, you know what ratings that you're talking about?
The only ratings that I know of are the Idaho State Department of Ed has to do like a recorder deal as part of their federal reporting. And the last one they did, it was in 2022. And I went through that today, and that information is not accurate. I'll send you the link to that report. But I think, again, this really kind of goes back to when you compare schools, which the state has to do for their federal reporting, what's not included in that is how those schools rank compared to like demographics for other schools. So the best way I can explain it is the top 10 every year, I believe, are charter schools. This goes back to that notion of charters are very selective in who they take into those schools. So if you come from a wealthy family, chances are you're going to perform better on ISAT and IRI. There is some socioeconomic bias written into those tests. The accurate way to look at this is if you're a district or if you're a school that has 40% free and reduced lunch, the more accurate comparison than saying, how does this school compare to this school of wealthy students? The more accurate thing is to say, find me another school that has the same demographics and let's compare those. And so I can tell you, our schools score very well when you compare them to like schools. Now, with that said, one of the things Phil brought up on his presentation is he had the state average on there. They will tell you that for public schools, the state average is a very misleading target on there because that doesn't take into account your ELL population, socioeconomic. It's just straight data. And so you take that for what it is. Now, with that said, yeah, we always look to improve upon those scores too. And, you know, I appreciate Phil presenting the plan for North. And so I'm not sure where that data came from. There could be some other report out there, but quite honestly, I also look at it this way and go, I think the more accurate way to get a good feel on how kids are learning is ask the parent. You know, has your kid had a good school experience? And I can say pretty confidently that I truly believe most of our parents would say yes. So.
Well, and the data kind of puts me into my last point is really the last one. I do want to make it clear, they were very complimentary towards the school district, and especially with your work with Matt Greenberg and the waiver and all that. So, because I do think it's important that, you know, we work at the city and they work at us. I think we all the same thing. But I guess my question is, with their push to the Air Force, and maybe you have some knowledge on this too, Ralph, but with their push to the Air Force to promote Mountain Home Air Force Base, as a city approach the district or you to find out, hey, what good information can I take with me, or can we take with me as we present in DC or present wherever? Are they asking us for our data or testing or anything that could help promote, I guess, the good that we already have?
Sure. No.
So a couple questions I had that came up was mentioned last night as well by the mayor, that a couple of major businesses that would have been pretty prominent for the city to get, we lost because of our schools. Were you involved with meeting with any potential business company? Because this is the first I've heard of.
Yeah. No, nobody from the city reached out to me on any of that.
That we had lost potential businesses because our schools were an issue.
Which I think is an issue. You know, if there, and I've said, if you need help, let me know. So, you know, I hope moving forward, if they're in that position again, that they actually have somebody from the school district come in and ask or answer questions about the schools so that it can be answered accurately instead of, off of innuendo and hearsay.
And just back to the online thing with the rankings. Cause it was mentioned, you know, we keep hearing, well, we gotta compare us to drone, we gotta compare us to drone, you're saying apples to apples thing. But people coming into base don't understand Mountain Home compares to drone, and they're just looking at information on the website. And I know when that's been brought to me by a previous group commander that, hey, according to this website, this is what it says, but the data on these websites, unless they're going to the actual state one, are anywhere from 3 to 5 years old.
Yes.
That people are looking at. I think, you know, they gotta understand, you gotta go look at if you're gonna look at the data for where we're at, how we're performing there. You need to look at the state data.
And I think that trustee Biddy, one of the things too is, you know, some people will definitely go and look at, you know, ISAT scores, IRI scores, but, you know, quite honestly, our Facebook pages do more positive than anything to show kind of what the culture of those schools are. And that's why I say I feel very confident that, you know, the majority of the parents, especially if they're involved parents, will say, yeah, the school's good, my kid. You know, I'm not gonna say there aren't ever issues, there are. But, you know, overall, I think that those things that our buildings communicate, I mean, you look at like the high school Facebook page, look at the traffic that thing gets. Because people want to see what's going on at their kids' school, and that's been a very valuable tool.
I like how they promote the achievements of their graduates too. Sure. On their Facebook page.
I hogged most of that. Any other questions? Thank you, Dan. All right, annual ISBA convention report. So trustee Benny and myself went to the conference, more trustee Benny and me, but we both went. Did you have anything you wanted to share?
No, I thought it was good. The funding formula piece is interesting. That was one of the breakouts that they had to talk about how, the superintendent Crutchfield and her team are trying to, their way to actually fix the funding formula and hold everyone harmless forever by actually injecting money into it on the front end. So it's not like, okay, well, if this happens, we're gonna turn this down, and then, okay, we're gonna fix this one, like they tried it before. But they wanna collapse 7 different line items in the general fund area to where, so we can use more money for curriculum if we need it, instead of what little bit they give us. Some of it seems a little iffy, the way they want to, because when you collapse those items down, it was really, you start robbing Peter to pay Paul on some of that. And some years you may wind up doing that and shorting other areas that you by getting rid of those line items, just to say, okay, well, we're gonna give you more ability to do what you want with the money. But good luck. Yeah. And then, of course, they came up, talked about the special ed piece. And how the feds are not funding it like they should be, so it was a very entangled web on how to fix that piece. They did talk about I asked about with the law change and the language that what we can and can't say for bonds and levies. We can legally put on for a bond. That if we run this bond, yes, it says it's gonna be $7.25 per 100,000. However, with the money that the state is giving you back from the property tax shuffle, it's only gonna cost you in reality $5 because of that reduction that we can legally put on that. With the levy, not so much. But it was good all in all.
To go along with trustee Benny said, you know, the bond language that came out of a presentation put on by the Valley View School District. They were successful on their third try later, that was 72%. Result, the first couple were just, they were just under the threshold, like the second one, yeah, 65. Yeah, very frustrating, yeah, so,
15 votes on the second draft.
yeah, so it was interesting, to kind of get their ideas, I mean, that hopefully won't be us, maybe we can get it on the second try if we decide to do it, but, there's a playbook out there.
So they had a very robust community involvement.
A couple of things that stuck out to me, there was a presentation I went to that just very simple questions. The guy said, make sure you understand the priorities of your district. Basically the question was, if somebody was to watch our meeting, would they know what our priorities are? By watching the meeting, and I think, for one, the building principal's coming back this year and doing a presentation and what you guys do. I mean, I think that really reminds us, I guess, of us, what the priorities are. You get so involved in so many things, but what really matters is something you guys share with us, and that's it, really, and that's what it comes down to. And then the other thing was, do our priorities line up with our strategic plan? I know we talked about probably revisiting that, Trustee Benjamin and myself talked about that quite a bit. Maybe getting back into that, making sure it's where we want it to be and represents what we're trying to get to. Couple of other things just real quick, and couple of hot items, hot topic or hot legal items that are out there. The bathroom bill, that was mentioned that is on hold again in the courts as of the 1st of November. And basically ISBA suggested that if districts want to have some type of policy, whatever that policy is, that they should go ahead and help us with that here. I'll stop waiting on the courts, because basically that could go on for quite a long time, is what they were saying. The other hot legal topic is, Fairness in Women's Sports Act. There's been a lot of challenges to that, mainly surrounding it being one-sided. As far as, males can't participate in female athletics. The challenges have come because it's not both ways. And so just something to be aware of. If only we reach that one. Board of Trustees Public Engagement Report. Anybody have anything? Finished it, okay, I think we'll solicit the bids, Mr. Zoll.
It's okay.
Do it all the time, I'm gonna get you back.
Yeah, I call you sir, and you tell me stop. So, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we're submitting a contract to get the elevator modernized over at the Mountain Home Junior High.
Can you explain what that means as far as, obviously, you're getting it up to date, right?
So-
What, is it in just bad shape right now?
The hydraulic board inside the control room is obsolete. We can't get parts for it anymore easily. So it's come to the point where they've recommended we replace it with a new modern one that'll make the elevator operate smoother and more safely, and we can get parts more readily.
And then Jerry, this is the only company that bid on it.
Yes, sir.
And we've gone out to bid twice on it now, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So the total bid amount is gonna be 116. And we have to do it in these the two payouts or two apps, right? That's
Yes.
how we do that?
Yes.
Do you have any questions for Mr. Zoll? Am I saying that?
Yes,
I was thinking,
it's okay.
if we get a motion to approve the bid presented. All in favor? There was a second in there somewhere.
Eeny, meeny, miny, moe.
Any opposed? Yeah, all right, thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry.
All right, appoint temporary clerk of the board.
I nominate Connie.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
She's there.
I am here.
All right, if we can get a motion to go into executive session,
So moved.
Second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? If you can do a roll call, Sharon, please.
Sure. Trustee Fred,
Aye.
trustee Binion,
Aye.
trustee Laudia,
Aye.
trustee Knox,
Aye.
Mr. Chairman.
Aye. We are in executive session. Thank you, Bill.
I appreciate you guys on the motion.